very good morning to you and welcome to Signature Morning once again. My name is Godwin Sunday and we are broadcasting live from Nigeria's political capital. This morning we will be looking at in the wake of the rising cost of PMS in the country. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and NIPCO Gas Limited recently commissioned 12 compressed natural gas stations in the country. NNPCL announced that compressed natural gas or CNG is 40% cheaper than petroleum in Nigeria, and the commissioned 12 new CNG stations in Lagos and Abuja is aimed at reducing transportation costs in the country. This morning we'll be talking about the CNG and the journey so far. Where are we? What are the modalities being put in place in the wake of subsidy removal? As the CNG product so far been able to satisfy Nigerians' test for cheaper and affordable energy across the board? Well, I won't be doing this alone this morning. I'm being joined by Prince Chris Amadi, who is more into this field, and he will be putting lights and putting the eyes into the cake on some of these issues that we're talking this morning. You're welcome to Signature Morning, Prince Chris Amadi.
Thanks so much, Godwin. It's nice having me.
All right, so you had the conversation. Generally, NNPC has made us know that they've come out with a lot of policies for CNG. But then what is even the CNG for people that are not into your field of oil and gas? How will a layman approach the CNG?
Okay, let me start by saying thank you for having me in the house. I also, alongside your team and all that. Now, CNG, like you rightly said earlier on, is the compressed natural gas. It's one of the end products of a refining process in petrochemical industry, and is something that is a bit indigenous to Nigeria because of our huge energy reserve, especially when it comes to natural gas reserve. It's not one that goes through so much processes like the PMS, that the premium motor spirit as petrol or the AGO or the DPK or any of the other forms of petroleum products. So it's something that we have naturally here and in most supply, in most huge commercial supply. So what NNPC is actually doing is maybe coming up, because it has been coming from a dimension for some time. Even prior to now, it should have been on the table. CNG purely is compressed natural gas, and it's a form of product that could also be used for vehicles and some other things.
All right. NNPC has also said that it's way cheaper than PMS. But then, let's look at it in terms of cost implication. Is it really cheap?
Yeah, when we talk about the cost of CNG, we need to start by understanding the cost element of petroleum products.
All right.
Some years earlier than now, Nigeria had 4 functional refineries, one in Warri, one in Port Harcourt, one in Calabar, and another one in Kaduna Refinery, and several other depots, petroleum depots. Then extracting crude oil drilling here domestically and production of petroleum product domestically made the prices of the products really very cheaper. But as soon as we began to have challenges with our domestic refineries here, and we now have to depend on refined product importation from outside the country, the landing costs benchmark against forex and other factors that come into it became higher. Now CNG, like I told you, is something that we have natural here. It's something that it doesn't go through much process to be able to have it available to Nigerians. And also, if you check the reserve of CNG that we have, natural gas that we have in Nigeria here, over that of the crude oil and the rest, a lot of factors makes it actually very cheap. And that factor also is that PMS is a more generally embraced products. You know that cost of goods and services everywhere in the world is determined by the forces of demand and supply. So now the demand for PMS, for several reasons, ranging from power production, lights, these things, down to vehicles, lack of diversification in the energy sector and all that, makes it that there is a huge pressure on the demand for petroleum products. So all that put on the price of PMS. Now, CNG has not received that level of attention. In fact, it's at the moment that the awareness, the sensitization, and the need for people to lean towards the CNG is coming up. So based on that, a lot of factors affect the price. CNG at the moment is measured in square cubic meters, like the way PMS is measured in liters. One square cubic meter of CNG is going for about between 230 naira and 340 naira, depending on where you're buying from. And if you have a cylinder capacity of 65 CNG also, about 3,000 to 4,000 naira will give you a full tank, which will also achieve greater mileage than PMS.
Yeah. So in terms of the risk that is attached to CNG, people say that why go this route, knowing fully well that there are a lot of factors that can militate against even that it's going to put Nigerians in more risk, because the availability of chemicals is still going to be in place. Why don't we rather improve on our firewood and native way of doing things, or improve on our local production, probably using coal and other things? Why CNG at this point?
Okay, let me start from where you started, talking about the risk. It's a common perception around in people's mind, especially when new things are coming up. There's people are usually skeptical a bit, especially when they do not understand how it works. Let's take, for instance, the LPG. LPG is the
liquefied natural gas.
That's the gas we use for
right now,
cooking, the cooking gas that we use. At the time, people were very afraid. They were very scared of having gas in their houses because of the fear of inflammation and all that. So such questions also surround the CNG market at the moment. But good enough, the risk, the inflammability index of CNG is by far lower than that of PMS and an LPG.
Okay, please, can you educate us on this?
We're talking about inflammability index. We're talking about the chances, the tendency of something to catch a blaze, to go ablaze, to catch fire. PMS is a spirit that catch fire easier than CNG. You know that besides CNG, there are many types of gas. Let's take, for instance, the gas that you use for your AC. That's gas also, but it's not as inflammable as the LPG, the gas that you use for the cooking. LPG is higher inflammable. If you put AGO, that's diesel, alongside with petrol, that's PMS. Diesel is lesser inflammable than PMS. That's exactly the way it is with CNG and LPG or any other form of gas. That's in the side of the risk of inflammation. Then you talk about the availability, the product availability. I've told you before, prior to the subsidy saga around the PMS market, Nigerians had one problem, just one problem around the PMS. And what was that? That was the availability or accessibility of the product. Because then, at the time, Nigeria was paying, the last price that we had before subsidy removal was about 195 per liter. So from time to time, we have a handful of this scarcity of products. So you see queues in some towns and some of that. So that was the major problem we had then. But with the coming in of this complete subsidy removal, today we have 4 problems around the PMS market. I'm telling you to be able to put it directly in comparison with CNG to know which one has, great. So we have 4 problems with the PMS market. One of them is the one we used to have before. That was the availability and the accessibility of the products. As we used to have scarcity of product, you see queues in petrol stations then, we still have them now. Even worse now. 2 is the affordability of the product. Because then some vehicles you could have your full tank at 6,000 naira when it was 190 something. Now it can cost you even up to 40,000 and above to fuel tank of some vehicles. The affordability is the next. Now we have a new challenge around that sector again, which is the quality and quantity assurance. Because a liter of PMS at the pump rate with this thing is going for 897 naira at NNPC. Some other major marketers are doing within the ranges of 903 down to 980. Then independent petroleum marketers, most of them in different locations, are doing up to 1,400 in different places. Because a liter of fuel, PMS, can go for 1,000 plus, there are certain other spirits that can be mixed with PMS. It will still run vehicles, but the durability in service comes in question. One of them is ethanol. Even this CNG also, to an extent, some poor, and that one is white for some of many things that could be able to, many spirits actually that are cheaper. Some of them might be going with the ranges of 300, 350 per liter, could be mixed with PMS. So there's a question of quality. That's where you hear people complain sometimes. They say, I bought a full tank. Before, a full tank would take me for 1 week. Today, a full tank cannot do you complete 4 days. That's
sorry to interject, but I think we'll come back to that PMS, that ethanol part of the spirit.
Okay.
We will still come back to that one.
Okay.
But then, as it stands right now, Lagos has been at the forefront of championing the cause for CNG products. Even I remember we had a conference with the former Minister of Information, the person of Lai Mohammed.
okay.
He came to commission a CNG stove project that was being carried out in Lagos.
Okay.
Right now, the president is at the forefront of championing the cause for CNG. But some people are saying at the moment, Nigeria is late into the CNG market. Nigeria is late when it's with some of the things it's doing right now in terms of CNG. How correct is these assertions?
Well, I think I completely agree with that. Just like most other policies, executions of plans and carriage of things, our people unfortunately prefer to be more reactive than to be proactive in situations. The marketing of the CNG, a sensitization and awareness, they actually giving the CNG to the people, should have by long preceded the removal of subsidy. So right now, the damage already that impact came with is already on ground. So what we are now doing are secondary things. We are doing later things, that's earlier things later, and the impact is what's happening with the people, with the economy, the standard of living, and the cost of living, and all that around it. So I agree completely with the fact that this should have been implemented a long time ago. Yes.
All right, so let's look at the issues around with the subsidy removal.
Okay.
A lot of people have said that the impact of subsidy, even the guest we had there some time ago said that the subsidy, the timing was wrong. But then looking at the whole CNG policy being put in place, do you think at this point as a professional that the subsidy removal was a way for us to go, looking at its impact right now, even as you've rightly mentioned, in Nigeria?
When result is in question, when result is in view, knowing what to do, what is right to do, is then just not enough. You will know what to do. You will know how to do it. You will know when to do it. You see those questions? How, when, what? A lot of, where to go about it. Subsidy removal at a point was one of the most imperative approach, policy Nigeria as a nation needed to adopt. But everyone that understands the implication of that particular policy on subsidy, nobody will fault the removal of subsidy from the Nigerian system. But the problem will always be on the way and manner it was carried out. Like I was telling you, certain infrastructure, social infrastructure, certain policies needed to precede that particular subsidy removal that would have cushioned the effect of it on the Nigerian people. One of them was the marketing of the CNG. That's why I told you before, it was necessary to have given a landing, a landing point to the people where it's like you want to win a baby who is sucking, a sucking baby. We know that a baby cannot survive forever on breast milk. There are ways you put it. You don't just wake up one morning and tell your baby breast sucking is over. If you take it that way, you might lose the baby. True. So that's exactly what that's exactly how it is with the way and manner the subsidy removal was carried out. It was a proper thing to do, but the timing and the way it was being carried out and lack of preparation ahead of it was a problem. And that's what the people are facing right now.
But in a large sense, looking at the CNG and other energy that we have in the country, one would think that at this point in time, the issues around the CNG not getting to the grassroots, can it be largely due to the fact that marketers and petroleum marketers are not happy with this innovation, or a political undertone that is affecting the CNG not getting to the grassroots? Looking at it from the perspective of Lagos and Abuja, which has been the center focal points. NNPC report said they have it's 40% cheaper, and they have just in Lagos and Abuja as it stands right now. So other parts of the country are yet to even start enjoying and benefiting the dividends of the CNG. Can this be political? Is it marketers trying to frustrate the availability of CNG and promotion of it?
No. Marketers are not trying and not frustrating the effort of the government in the marketing of CNG. It's just that development is a process. You cannot have a CNG dispensing station in 1 month because there are processes to it. First, you will need to go to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency, the former DPR, to get an approval to construct. When you get an approval to construct, you will get another after. That's first, you get a site approval first. After site approval, you move to the approval to construct. After approval of constructing, you now go into, when you are done constructing the station, you will need another license called an operational license. They will give you that third stage of license before you can now move into receiving the product into your place to dispense to people. These things are not things that could be done in 3 months. Some of them can take a very whole lot of time because of bureaucratic challenges around the society. So Nigeria actually intensified effort to move CNG into the market just this year or after the subsidy removal. Prior to it, the needs wasn't there much like that, because at the time Nigerians were doing PMS for 195, they were a bit more comfortable. It was only when it moved to 5 something that people now began to seek for alternative means, that the demand for CNG came up. And that was why I was telling you that in the policy framework of the policy execution of the government, CNG should have, even in the last administration, in Buhari's regime, as soon as they envisage, having known the implication of that subsidy removal, they should have activated plans for years, which might also have included the refurbishing and the renovation of our existing 4 refineries to bring them to full capacity before you begin to talk about forced removal. You see it? So it's not as if independent petroleum marketers are sabotaging the effort of the government. It's just that certain things take time.
And this does not in any way have a political undertone, probably from political parties. You don't think so?
I don't think, because the challenges, economic crisis, cost of living transcends political divisions. There is no dispensing station for CNG or whatsoever products where PDP members go to buy fuel at cheap rate, or APC members go to buy fuel, or whatsoever political division. When we are talking about economic factors, it joins all Nigeria. So politics is different from it. Yes, there might be individual interest as to, I want to man this, I want to man that. It might be there. But to say that there is a collaborative effort to sabotage the effort of the government in the marketing of the CNG, I do not see it. I actually see government doing all they can to be able to see that they bring it properly into the market. It's just that it's late. It's just that they are trying now to, something that you would have had a whole lot of time. Maybe you had a whole day to work for 24 hours. You are now around the 19th, 20th hour, struggling to use 4 hours to do what you should have used 20 hours to do. That's what I'm seeing.
All right, so let's talk about in terms of the CNG and orientation so far.
Okay.
In our curriculum as a nation, we're yet to get schools begin to teach CNGs. Secondary schools, primary school pupils begin to acclimatize themselves with what the CNG is all about, going through the syllables of different schools. Do you think at this point in time, okay, you want to react to this before I move?
The question is funny. The question is funny. A new product is coming to limelight, and you're talking about taking it to schools. How many schools? Okay, no, how many schools existing in Nigeria here study PMS?
What I mean is, in terms of when we talk about the PMS, people that elementary, secondary school students offering science or doing science, they are being taught some level of processing from chemistry or maybe physics or one of those courses. But then, even from primary school, that there's something called petrol. But right now, it's a new product. Well, our curriculum is not incorporating this particular knowledge into our syllables. So I'm asking at this point.
Comrade, are you sincerely telling me that you knew PMS, you knew petrol from school?
Okay.
Wait. You went to primary school and they called you, and one day you came to school, they said everybody come to the assembly ground. They brought a liter, maybe in a transparent distance, to say, look at this product.
No, we read about
this petrol. Was that how you knew petrol? How I knew petrol? I could remember as far as maybe the point I started understanding things. Maybe petrol was a bit less than 11 naira, if I'm not mistaken. A bit less than, before it moved to 11 naira, that was when I knew about it. How we know about it is whenever there is an increment of pump price, Abacha's regime then, whenever there's increment of pump price, or Babangida, from here Babangida actually, not Abacha, whenever there's increment of pump price, people will start lamenting. When your parents start lamenting, you hear it. Then you hear say they don't increase fuel. That was how we knew. So it's not as if it was not unless if, when you're talking about looking at CNG, maybe taking to school, you're talking about at the level of
program,
no. Okay. The awareness and sensitization for the use of CNG is not a school issue, because it's not schools or students that uses petrol.
So we should not incorporate it into our syllabus?
No. If you want to incorporate it into our syllabus, you're talking about petrochemical engineering. Now, it's not at the secondary and primary school.
Even need to bring this to Introtech, integrated sciences. And even at least people should start from that level, start understanding what it is. Then when you want to now go into it as a professional, you now begin to expand your scope, or the way you now go to petrochemical engineering.
The technology behind this is such that even Nigerian tertiary institutions do not have the infrastructure to be able to effectively impart such knowledge in tertiary institution students. I'm talking about primary school here. So what we're looking at is, if we're talking about sensitization and awareness, how things, a good product is sold by need. Is sold by need. You understand? Okay, now you were buying fuel at maybe spending maybe let me say 20,000-30,000 before for a whole week or a whole month on petrol. Now you spend 100 and something thousand to fill my tank at 40,000. So sometimes in a month you spend over 300,000 on buying petrol. It's not somebody that will tell you that you need an alternative. It's not that quest for something new that drives the marketing of CNG. So the question should be, what is government doing right now to sensitize the people, the society, on the need, what CNG is first, the need to embrace CNG as a better, and the marketing of CNG has a slogan. It's called a cleaner energy. It's more environmentally friendly. And let me give you an illustration.
All right, please.
That places PMS versus CNG on side by side. You know the difference between cooking with a cooking gas, and cooking with firewood, or cooking with a stove, kerosene stove. When you cook with a kerosene stove, how does your kitchen look? How does the kitchen look when people cook with kerosene stove? Everywhere is black. You see the smoke distance, right? When people cook with LPG, they are cooking gas. Have you seen the environment? It's because cooking gas is a cleaner energy than kerosene stove, DPK. That's also how it applies to CNG. CNG is a gas. You understand? It cleanses your energy. That's your engine, the car engine. It doesn't emit smoke or carbon monoxide. It's environmentally more friendly. You understand? So these are a lot of things people need to understand. And I've told you again about the inflammability ratio, that it was lesser inflammable than the PMS. The only thing is, it's a more compressed gas. That's the reason why you can use jerry can, and carry your PMS, put it in a rubber can. You cannot carry CNG like that. If a CNG is more compressed than LPG, you've seen the cylinder for cooking gas. Yeah. You see how heavy it is because of the metal that is used. The metal that is used for CNG is 3 times more thicker than that, because it's about 0.6 mm that they use, the thickness. Why? Because of the compressed level, it will diffuse. It will diffuse. And it's not for the risk of inflammability, but it's telling you just the side that it might actually has it's a more compressed gas, but it's a cleaner energy. It's a cleaner energy.
In other words, this conversation should not start from pupil from the secondary school and primary school.
Yes, no. They are not the ones that have problem of PMS. It's the parents.
But most of, what I'm asking this question is in terms of parents that stay in villages. They need to be informed about these things, and most of them depend on their children that are schooled or educated or learned to come back and give them certain form of orientation on what this is. So you're saying we should not incorporate this into our syllabus system.
When Nigerian telecommunication industry was passing through their reformative states, when Nitel was privatized and they opened up the telecom sector, the children go and set up sensitization teams to go and tell their fathers and their parents in the village that there's no phone that you can be able to use to call people.
Not at all. But
how was the sensitization and the awareness on telephones when Econet, V-Mobile, MTN, and all the rest of them came into place? How did Nigerians embrace it? They embraced it by need, because you wouldn't want to go to Nitel place to go and stand for how many hours before you can be able to call somebody abroad. You can now go to a business center and take this thing and make call. So that's also the same means. So what we do is keep letting you know that how much you spend. You spend about 200,000-300,000 on fueling your car in a month. There's an approach that you can be able to have, and you spend less than 50,000 a month. Everybody is looking for whatsoever can be able to deliver them from unnecessary expenditure.
We'll go for a short break. When we come back, we'll talk on the technicalities that are surrounding the CNG products after this break. Well, because I believe at this point we're learning 1 or 2 things about the CNG product. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be talking more on energy in Nigeria. Please go nowhere. The show continues in a moment.
The only thing that is permanent in life is change. Therefore, change is desirable. However, if there's any time there's any change, we should be aware that a lot of things will have to come into play. It is not limited to change in office, change in personalities, but also includes the way we do things. The way we do things in Nigeria, that is why one of the things that we have not been having desired results. Every time that we have a change in government, there are a lot of expectations from Nigerians. Why are we not achieving this? It is simply because we are only focusing on who should be the head of this parastatal, the head of this agency. It should be further than that. What we should be looking at is changing our orientation, a meaningful way of thinking in a positive way. If there is any change in any office like the CBN, the agenda should be how do you make CBN to be functional, to be responsible in changing the value and the expectations that Nigerians have on our currency. Changing our orientation is very important, which we have been neglecting, and that is why we are not getting our desired result.
Welcome back, and just in case you're just joining us, this is still Signature Morning, and we're still talking about energy in Nigeria. And of course, let me come back to Prince Chris Amadi. Let's talk about the technical part of this, which has to do with the conversion and other modalities being put in place. Do we have enough manpower as it stands right now to start talking conversion, like even in the CNG sector?
Okay, with the technicalities of the CNG conversion, especially with regards to manpower, as your question is coming, first of all, we need to admit that Nigeria as a society is still at the tooting stage of the CNG market. So because it's something that we are just embracing now, there will be challenges now. One of the challenges is the cost. Cost is because the number of people, number of organizations now rendering these services versus the need for it. Like I said before, the prices of goods and services everywhere in the world is determined by the forces of demand and supply. Let me go back to the telecom sector. When MTN and Airtel, or V-Mobile or whatsoever, came in then, there was a time that people were buying SIM card and phone for a very high price, that something thousand for something thousand and thereabout to get a SIM card then. And that was when money had value. You understand? It's like buying SIM card now for 500,000, because 40,000 in 2009, that's 1999, 2000, 40,000 then. If you convert it by exchange rates as per Forex, then you might realize today that it might be worth something close to 400,000 or 500,000 today.
Okay.
So people were buying phones expensive because the demand for it was higher than the availability of the services then. But as time went on and a lot of people started coming into the industry, a time came that even now some network providers give their SIM cards for free. Is that not true?
Yes.
So that's also the way it's going to be with the CNG industry. Government is currently training a lot of people. A lot of people are going through trainings in it. We have some training centers and that, and we are in it also. So if there are people that are interested to go into training for the conversion, it's something that is not really a very complex thing. It's not really a very complex thing. Within a month, you can be able to know what it takes to do this thing. So we are training and deploying the skills, the technicians into the market.
All right. So speaking of this, the technical part of it.
Yeah.
Will car owners at this point have to change their engine for them to be able to use the CNG product, or would they need to sell their cars, or they need to what tell us about the way it will work right now for especially for car owners?
What actually happens is that in the use of CNG, your car consumption, your car usage is dualized. When we talk about conversion, what they do is that the infrastructure, what is needed, the facility that is needed for your car to use CNG is added to your car. Nothing tampers the use of PMS. Your use of petrol is still there, because somebody can travel to some part of the country where where CNG is not available now. What will happen? You will switch your car to the use of PMS. When you come back to where you have CNG, you use it. So we dualize the consumption of your car so that your car can have the capacity to use both PMS and CNG. That's what happens.
Mechanics already are afraid that CNG will push them out of the market because, like you rightly said, it's a renewable, more of a cleaner. It cleanses the system, the engine, and it will push them out of the market.
And a more sustainable means of energy.
So how correct is this assertion?
Mechanics do not need to be afraid of anything. Why? The installation of CNG kits or CNG facilities in a vehicle doesn't affect mechanics.
No need for engine oil again.
You need,
we no need for grease.
if you
We no need for
wait. If you put PMS in your car, do you need engine oil? Do you need water in the car?
Of course you do.
CNG is just what energizes the car, the way PMS energizes the car. Every other mechanical distance in the car is still in place the way it is. Your car will need water. Your car will need engine oil. Your gear will need gear oil. The only thing is that when you're supposed to be using PMS, you're not using CNG. That's the difference. Every other thing remains the same with your car.
Thank you for alienating the fears of mechanics. That are already afraid of losing their job.
They are our partners in the industry.
Right.
We have a collaborative space
All right,
together.
but looking at the level of conversion spaces that we have, even in here in Abuja, it tends to be very slow. The process of conversion and CNG market in Abuja tends to be very elusive. So far, we have just about 6 centers in Abuja that you can even go to talk about a CNG product across Abuja. People begin to ask salient questions. Apart from the cost implications and some of the things that you've narrated to us at this point, is it that private individuals and private investors are not interested in investing in CNG?
Okay, CNG conversion centers is one thing. CNG dispensing stations, another thing.
Okay, so let's talk about the boat.
Now let me start with the conversion side of it.
All right.
We have the organizations saddled with the responsibility to train and deploy. Even without you knowing, they are already training and deploying technicians in their tens and hundreds, even in Abuja here, at least to my own awareness. We are in it also. Now, it doesn't even take, I've seen a lawyer being trained on CNG conversion. It's like when solar came in, solar installation. It's not a technical thing. It doesn't go into the mechanical or the engineering parts of your vehicle. What it takes is knowing what is and where it ought to be, and that is what you're trained to do. What's this thing? How does it pass? Where do you install it? If you understand it, the same way it comes, okay, the CNG kit comes as a kit. The way your television or your electronics comes, they are scattered. The ability to assemble it together and put it where it should work and switch it to light. That's how it is. So you take it, where the cylinder goes in, it goes in. Where the injector, everything that comes into it, you fix it where it is. Then you connect it, it works. So it's not a very technical thing. So the training has been ongoing. People are being trained. It's just that a lot of people do not know. And that's the reason why we come on air to talk about it this way. So that people can know that you can actually be trained in it. And it doesn't break bank, it doesn't take much. Then you become a person that can be able to install the kit if you have the kit in vehicles. That's on that side. Then on the side of the dispensing stations, that's where you're talking about that we have 6.
Yeah, just 6.
In Abuja here. And they are there. NIPCO is in Lube. ABG is there in Kubwa. We have an NPC dispensing in Oshafa. Here at Otako, very soon we start dispensing also. They have their dispensing meters there with 2 other distances, one at Jahi and, and other places are so fast in their own, distance now. Also processing their inline set. So very soon you will now realize that many filling stations in Abuja here has the CNG dispensing this thing. So that's not a problem. Just the way this LPG when it came up, it's not everybody that had the ability to dispense LPG. But today, you go to any look and cranny of the town, you can always go and fill your cylinder there. That's how this one is also.
A lot of Nigerians that stay in suburbs and also in the outskirts of major urban areas are feeling as though the CNG conversation is tailored towards addressing the concerns of the urban centers. So it's been a one-sided conversation where they're not carried along. Tell me, are there practical steps being taken by the government or even the private individuals? So for when you said the centers you've mentioned, even in Abuja, they sound Kubwa, Utako, they sound more urbanized. Are there plans to also touch the rural areas, even with the CNG dispensing stations?
If my memory serves me well and I have a proper understanding of the Abuja settings geographically, I will not agree with that, because when you talk about the suburb towns in Abuja, you're talking about Lube, you're talking about Kubwa, you're talking about Maraba.
Yep.
Maraba, that's the triangle. Now, it's not as if these things are centered around Maitama and Asokoro or Gwarimpa. See the way it was been situationed. One in Oshafa, that's Buhari, a very concentrated part of Abuja. Another one in Lube.
So one will ask, why Oshafa, why not Lokogoma? Why not Kabusa? If we're looking at from that angle. Okay, sorry. If we're saying Oshafa, one will ask to South Buhari, but then this is Buhari's just one side. That's fine if I understand you, the Abuja map correctly. That's Oshafa from after Duse. But then when you get to Duse, from Duse to Oshafa is not a stone throw. From Oshafa to Buhari is another missionary journey. Now coming back again to Nyanya access, one should expect that from Nyanya through to Karo, through to Jikwe, through to Kurudu, through to Orozo, and then to Karshi, one will ask, are there modalities and plans and programs to cover all of these areas?
Well, I do not understand the yardsticks.
Okay.
Or the perimeters that NNPC Retails Limited adopted. You understand? Or NNPC Limited adopted when they were choosing the places. I know it's a partnership a bit, so I don't know what the yardstick was. But I think that in the real sense, people that should be complaining are actually people that are within the Abuja Metropolitan. Because among the places that are supposed to be suburb now in Abuja, it's only Maraba that can complain. When you talk about Lokogoma, Lokogoma is within the Abuja Metropolitan. That's Apo. Kabusa, Lokogoma, Apo, they are within. How from Kabusa to Area 1 is not a direct distance. From Kabusa to Area 1 is direct transportation. From Area 1 to Federal Secretariat is that these areas are captured around the Abuja Metropolitan. It's on that mark. It's on that mark in the center of the town. So if somebody in Kuje,
we're coming to Kuje. We're coming to Kuje.
I think there's another one in Kuje. It's like there's one in Kuje actually.
Then down to Gwagwalada.
If somebody in Kuje and Gwagwalada axis was going to complain. You understand? They have it in those areas. Somebody now that is within this capital will not say that within town it's not there. But the thing there is this. It's like a seed. Something is starting up. Before you know, people would have had their licenses and put up their facilities and start selling in different places. Because as soon as people move, the market moves from PMS because of cost and come towards CNG. Investors will be moved naturally to go and put their money in this and get money. Is that not what business is all about? So there shouldn't be the fear of they are marginalizing us. It's not like a refinery where government say, okay, I have duty for this body. No, it's not like that. It's something that business people that are players in the oil and gas already will put up their distance and very soon it will be everywhere.
That people within these suburbs need this CNG more than even people in the urban area.
Maybe because of their distance to town. That might be the condition. That might be what actually prompted the decision to put it, scatter it in these places. So I think I agree with that.
Prince, let's even move on and to these issues around the CNG itself.
Okay.
The cylinder that we use to only put the CNG. I meant to understand that it's a bit lighter, or I don't know if it's weightier than that of the LNG as it stands.
LPG.
I beg your pardon, the LPG. But then correct me if I'm wrong. Is it what does it look like and how does it feel like?
Okay.
And do we need to? Why I'm asking this question is to know if we need at this point to go and start trading or exchanging our cylinders, which we use for the order. So let's get this.
The LPG cylinder is not compatible with the CNG. Why? CNG is a more compressed product. LPG is a spirit. It diffuses. CNG is a spirit. But CNG, the level of compression that goes into it is more sensitive. I don't know if you've seen diffusion of gas somewhere. The force that it diffuses with. It's because of the pressure that was injected into it. So the cylinder for CNG is thicker because it's going to curtail something with force. If you put CNG inside this cylinder, it will explode.
Okay. I think I'm interested in this conversation.
Yeah.
Why is that so?
It's because of the characters, the properties, the character of the element itself, of the product itself, the character of the compressed natural gas itself. You understand? And that's the reason why the usage is longer. That's why it lasts longer. Why? Because if, how do I explain this? If you want to use the quantity of CNG like we do PMS, cars will not be able to carry it. And cars, we want to have, even at the time when I wanted to do my own, I was suggesting for a certain cylinder, which was almost bigger than my trunk. I had to reduce it. Why? Because I wanted to go once, buy it, and have it for as long as, So the product had to be so much compressed so that it can be able to accommodate the more, that can be able to serve you longer because of the use for the cars. So that's that. So they are not. It's not like I have cylinder. And besides the cylinder,
we need to go get new cylinders. That's what you're saying.
No,
we don't need to get new cylinders.
No. Your cylinder for LPG,
yes.
Your kits for LPG is completely different from that of the CNG.
So what I'm asking is because
CNG conversion.
If car owners are not going to change anything from their car just to install it, I think can't we have a technology where we don't need to throw away our cylinder? We can just incorporate it and
the organizations, the companies that are saddled with the responsibility of the regulatory and the monitoring, the control of this particular industry, made it in such you don't go and buy CNG kits. You don't go and buy CNG kit by yourself and say come and fix for me. No, that's not how it works. The companies, it is tested. You understand? They are the ones that bring it. You come, you talk about the price, you make the payment, they install it for you. It's not something that you can just go, you buy and sell or something like that. There's a regulatory framework around it. Do you understand? Because of quality assurance. Because of subjects of quality, yeah.
So, lastly, before we let you go, even as we begin to pack our things to leave the studio, the issues around CNG, conversion, and all of the narratives sound pretty good to be true.
Thank you.
But then again, is there a possibility that one can be defrauded even within the CNG sector?
Are people defrauded in churches? Can people be defrauded in churches?
In religious centers, people, a lot of things happen in religion. I don't
What,
know.
what of mosque?
In religious centers, things happen.
What of shrines?
Okay, I don't know, but I know things happen in religious centers.
So now, if in religious settings that should be as sacrosanct as a shrine or a church or a mosque, people can be defrauded in such centers, then why will you not think that somebody cannot
So what
defraud?
I'm saying is, we've seen a situation where people go to filling stations to buy PMS, and the fuel attendant is pumping air inside your car, and sometimes you get what you order for versus what you get differs. So that's what I'm saying. Is the CNG so guaranteed that if I'm saying I'm buying one and sorry, please correct me. If I'm buying one, I should get
Square cubic meter?
Square cubic meter, I beg your pardon. If I'm buying 1 square cubic, I should get one. Is there tendency for...
Godwin, you're a Nigerian. You're a Nigerian, and Nigerians get wise by experience. This question you're asking me now, nobody has defrauded me yet, so I wouldn't be able to know until the contrary is being proven. But for now, no. It might not be possible, because maybe if you see, when you visit a CNG station and see the CNG dispensing meter, you will know. Let's use LNG.
You cannot tamper with the meter.
You can't.
No, LNG, what I'm asking,
That LPG.
meters I've seen situations where the meter has been tampered with. So that's why I'm asking this question. Is it possible for the CNG meter to be tampered?
For now, I don't have any listing to that effect. I might not be able to say yes or no, but I've not seen. Thank you.
Nigerians are in the safe hands.
Sure. Let's do CNG. Let's do CNG. Yeah. Let's do CNG and come up bills.
We'll see how far
Let's do CNG and come up bills.
And we're advocating also that people like yourself and the government should begin to...
Feel free to reach us anytime. We are available. Feel free to reach us. We tell you want conversion, you want any information around the industry. Even the businesses and opportunities that are around, you can still discuss it. What are we business people for?
All right, not on my show, by the way. All right, Monitor Expo, stay tuned. This is how far we can go. Even this morning, I want to say, Prince Chris Amadi, thank you so much for being a part of.
Nice having me, Godwin. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Well, viewers, this is how far we can run today on the show. Please do remember to follow us on all our social media handle that's already displayed on the screen for more updates. And remember, you can also join in this conversation by leaving a comment on our various social media and let us know what you think. You can also watch a replay of this particular interview on and all the programs that we do on our app. You can go to Google Store and download it to have a replay and get more impact from the conversation that we've had on this table. And we'll trust that you will be able to also effect some of the practical changes that Nigerians need. Till I come your way again, same time, same station. Do remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. I am Godwin Sunday. From all of us here in the studio, it is bye for now.